No reason why you can't do it. If you are out there in whatever method you are, we invite you, especially if you're on Facebook, to write Shabbat Shalom, greet everyone, tell us where you're from if you're not from the area, and we welcome you. It's really glad to have you with us. And most especially, I'd like to greet everyone that is here with us today. It is wonderful. We have the most gorgeous weather after rain and intense heat and thunderstorms last week. This is the type of summer we deserve. We deserve in Western New York. That's what I wrote in the Jewish Journal for August. You'll see. This is where we earn summer. Other people, they get off easy, those Floridians. But here we earn it. All right, so we are going to have a chance to sing a little bit. Cantor, did we already do the opening song?
Yeah, we did all our preliminary little pieces. We'll get right into the service.
Wonderful. So with that in mind, why don't I bring over Bruce Corse? I know he has some important announcements. Or should I say, welcome for everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I just wanted to mention that for those of you that, none of you were here for the actual congregational meeting last week because of the weather. So we have some packets, which we would have handed out last week. So I'll walk around, and if you want the opportunity to grab one, just let me know. I also have the President's Award that was presented last week to everyone, to all of you. So I'll also walk around and give you the chance to see that in person. Couple of things of note. As you know, we are continuing to have you give the opportunity to sit in chairs outside. You don't have to stay in your car. As I've mentioned, we're going to continue to take little steps as we can. If you do, go around the room, go around the parking lot and socialize. As the rabbi said, social distance. If you can fit a talit in between you and the other person, you're good. Or if you can fit a person, if you can picture a person lying on the ground in between the two of you, a Paul person, not a Jenny person. You would need two Jennies. Welcome back, Jenny. So you would need a tall person, but if you can have an entire tall person lying on the ground in between the two of you, you're good to go. We are going to continue to offer you wonderful things via Zoom and other online platforms. We have a really cool concert coming up tomorrow night. More details on that coming up in the announcements, and I know the cantor will be mentioning that. Thank you to everyone who came here to support the Shabbatas this past week. Most successful ever.
What?
Yes, our best ever. So, and that is so important, obviously, without bingo. So we'll be doing another one coming up in a week and a half. We're going to do a fish fry in August, and we have our big Shred It event tomorrow. I know everyone during this time has been cleaning out papers and everything, and you got to have boxes and bags of stuff ready to shred. We will be here tomorrow from 10 to 1. Again, it's just so nice to see everyone's faces. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Well, Bruce, as you were giving the announcements, I took the opportunity to light our candles. It's very hard to see. But actually, my favorite part of this whole experience is right now. Because when we're inside or when we have our normal summer services that are earlier, we don't get the sun dipping in the sky. And I feel like God's light has really surrounded us. So even though we cannot exactly light our candles in the same way, and it's hard to see them, I want you to picture their glow. And those of you that are with us, please pretend to light your own candles. You can wave your flags as a way of doing that ritual. Those of you at home, feel free, light your candles, take pictures of it. We'd love to see your pictures as well. So the candle blessing is on page 120, and I invite you to bring in the light. Actually, if you're here, turn to the sunlight. Feel it come into your soul. Bring it into your soul as we recite the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu
Blessed are you, the candles that light our way into the Sabbath. And we turn to our Kiddush, page 123. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'yavav ratzon, hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh bereshit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta, V'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha v'yavav ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Blessed is the wine that helps us sanctify this day of Shabbat that God provided us through the 6 days of creation and through the exodus of Egypt. And we celebrate with Jews around the world, L'chaim. We're going to welcome Shabbat in. Oh, perfect timing. Here we come. That looks like Dave over there. So we're going to welcome in Shabbat with L'chado D, page 138, and we're going to be singing that first verse and the ninth verse. On the ninth verse, we invite you to rise. In our case, I would say the entrance is over there. So we're going to face the entrance, bowing to Shabbat Bride and anyone else who enters. Not yet, don't worry, you can sit down. We're not quite ready to stand up. We'll stand up on the ninth verse. And then we'll a chance to welcome each other to the space.
La 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 chadori, la 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 the krakala, la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat, b'kavela, la 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 chadori, la 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 the krakala. La 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat, b'kavela. Shama v'zachor, liborecha, La la la,
just take a moment to thank Kyle, who has been going around and delivering chairs to people. Thank you, Kyle. You might see him, or maybe you won't. He's traveling so fast. So thank you, Kyle, and thank you, Bruce, is going around. For those of you coming in with the President's Award that includes all of you. You are all in it. So you'll have a chance to see that directly. As we come into Shabbat, let's think about our weeks before we officially go into the Baruch Hu section. So many different things happen over the course of a week. We had, in my family, I got to see our first baseball games. The kids are in baseball now. And actually, we had one game, my youngest game, he got to the first inning and then it started pouring. He was so excited. He's a 7-year-old for his game and it got rained out. My 10-year-old got a full game and he actually got a double, his first double. Wonderful. So, Cantor, did you have anything that you and Mike had done this week? Anything you want to bring in?
Oh, I have to think about that.
French fries like the podcast.
Oh, French fries. Yum, that's my wife's favorite.
He said bring in, so he's ordering takeout during the service.
Takeout, wonderful. Well, if you'd like, it's always nice to kind of reflect, and since we have the microphones, I guess we're the only ones who can reflect here. But one of the things that I've been doing is early morning walks throughout the pandemic. I've been writing poetry, so I'd like to bring in a poem. This one's called If Only, and actually we had a panel on anti-racism about the terrible plight that's been with us for a very long time and seeing what we can do to change it on Thursday night, and this is kind of a reflection on that. If only I could turn past the glowing onlook of admirers, past the comfort of family and friends, past even the indifferent stares of those I am most alike, into that region of space and time where not only am I not at home, but am unwanted. That place where caustic disdain emanates like foreign fire, where pitchforks bear my name and likeness, where I and my people are what inflicts another's dreams. That place exists, has always existed, long before I was a twinkle in someone else's eyes. If I close my eyes and stare beyond the scope of my vision, I can feel heat vibrating from that direction, the fearsome chance parade with flags in hands like slaves in Canaan's very soil. Even the thought of turning towards them, those perceived others, causes me to languish in my dreams. But I so wish that I could. How much better it would be if I did look, if I did acknowledge that something I have done or was done in my name causes someone else pain, the same pain that I feel right now. What if we both could turn, I and that hated other, staring at one another like rivals in a declared duel, and instead of lifting guns, we lifted countenances, pledging blessings and protection, and like Esau and Jacob once did in some unknown biblical field, embraced one another not as enemies, but as friends, members of the same tribal family we truly are. Oh, how different it all could be if only I could turn. I invite you to turn by standing. Stand. We're going to rise for the Baruch Hu, our call to prayer. Page 146. And we are surrounded by our community.
La 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 lecha dodi. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm the lecha dodi.
See, I've done it too.
La 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 la
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vahed. La 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 la.
So I think you have a song here. Is it in our prayer book? We have a Jeffrey Klepper song. Oh, I have Open Up Our Eyes. Is that?
Oh, sorry. No, I forgot to prepare.
Oh,
that.
okay.
Thank
No problem. Page 152, we turn to the Shema, our call of allegiance to our God. Page 152.
2, 3, 4.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch shekevod malchuto le'olam vaed. Baruch shekevod malchuto le'olam vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. We turn to page 154 for the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levacha v'chol nafshecha v'chol miodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantan levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha v'veitecha uvlektecha v'derech uv'shokvecha v'kumecha ukshartam liot al yadecha v'hayu letotafo b'neinecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkiru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim leloechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Let's join with me on the English, page 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gates. They are reminders to do all my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. And we turn with a reminder of Egypt on page 158 for the Mi Chamocha.
He
I feel like dancing. There used to be over at Beth Zion, there was this wonderful woman, and she would dance. I don't know if she still does it, not during the pandemic. She would dance up and down their hallways. And what a wonderful way to really pray in that way. So I'm going to invite everyone to rise if you so choose for the tefillah. We're going to do it silently. It starts on page 164, and it will go all the way through page 180. Take an opportunity now to just have your own private thoughts and prayers. I would focus on the beauty. Look at the trees. Look at the differences in the color over here. It looks like the trees are praying. So take some time to reflect, a couple of minutes, and whenever you're ready, you may be seated.
Shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu. Say shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu. Say shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu. Yase shalom, yase shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'amko Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'amko Yisrael. Say shalom bimroma, yaseh shalom aleinu. Say shalom bimroma. Yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom bimroma. Yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'amko Yisrael. 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 Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'amko Yisrael.
Oh, it's so wonderful to see everyone waving their flags, singing along. It's so wonderful. I was thinking about it as I was watching you pray for the Amidah, the standing prayer. that there are moments in this pandemic I'm going to try to hold on to that are very spiritual. And that's going to be one of them. Standing out here next to each other's cars and feeling the presence of God despite everything. The other moment, which I love, not everyone likes it, but when we say the blessing for Torah study on Zoom, that's my favorite. Just it's not to everyone's taste because everyone's doing it at the same time and you can't always hear it. But for me, it's extremely spiritual. So we're going to take some time now to remember those in need of healing. We have a whole bunch of names on the list. Not going to read them now because we're on the parking lot, but we will invite names in, people you're thinking about, and I'm actually going to step in front of the microphone so we can say the names, not out there or out there, but over here amongst all of us. Yeah, Myra and Debbie Horowitz. And Bruce Baum and Cindy Baum. Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Robin.
Yeah, Jill and Robin, who both had surgery this week, doing well. So we take all those names in the hearts into our hearts. Those of you out there, say your names. We want to send prayers out to wherever you are, to maybe to you individually as well. The prayer is on page 371 if you want to follow along in the words. Healing of body and soul, we send out our prayer and our love to those, especially those people that can't have visitors or feel cut off from others. We send lots of prayers in your direction. Shabbat Shalom. No, that wasn't good enough. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. That's one thing I missed from the sanctuary. It's really good to hear your voices. If you're out there, we wish you a Shabbat Shalom as well, and please write it in. So if I was going to ask everyone here to take an oath, what would you do? What would your natural impulse to be? Would you go like this? Right, hold up your hands. I promise, I solemnly swear to... Now, you have to be very careful. I could say something you don't want to say. To be a good person. I think we can all swear to that, right? So this is something we actually don't do a lot in our society. I was over, the Kermans are over here. They had a wedding in their family. Their daughter got married last week. It was a wonderful affair. Small, but wonderful, beautiful. And that is one of the places that we have vows. We have vows for people to become new Americans. That's one of the places that we have a vow. But often we really don't think about oaths and promises that much. But in the ancient world, they were all over. And actually, they didn't do this. They did other things. You know what they would do? They would grab your ankle. You might know that from the story of Jacob, right? The story of the promise between the wrestling of the angels and the grabbing of the legs. Another thing that they would do, which you might have seen, it's from the book of Ruth, they would throw a shoe. That would be a way of promising. But they would think about promises all the time, as we see in this week's Torah portion, Matot and Maseh, the double portion that ends the book of Numbers. Promises are extremely important. Everything is tied. The entire society is held up by promises. I want to read a reflection from the bar mitzvah of Noah Brooks. Noah Brooks, young man who had his bar mitzvah, he hoped to have it just like this. But unfortunately, it poured. When I say poured, it was the type of rain that I was in the sanctuary up on the bima and Cantor's, usually where she is on her podium, and it was pouring so much I was afraid the roof was going to cave in. And I was extremely grateful that we had made the decision to move it indoors. And he was wonderful because he, without even practicing, we go over everything with the bar and bat mitzvahs, but because we had to practice outdoors and also with the idea of indoors, we only could do one of them. But he got up there and he did a marvelous job. I highly suggest if you want to be inspired, go and watch the bar mitzvah of Noah Brooks from last week. We also had Zelda Abramovich, who did a wonderful job too. I don't know if that isn't as widely available, but the family has it. It's spectacular. So I'm going to read to you just a brief reflection that he offered in his speech about these portions, because he was doing a Havdalah. He said, the beginning of the Torah portion talks about how obligations were taken much more seriously in the past. These obligations to yourself or to others had to be fulfilled, or there would be consequences. Some places give you more obligations, like school and home. At my home, I have obligations like doing the dishes, walking my dog. In my religion, I have obligations as such as well, preparing for my bar mitzvah, being a kind person. These obligations are not very difficult for me, but sometimes the circumstances affect them in a negative way. Sometimes staying interested in what the teacher has to say is difficult because someone is making noise. My motivation to continue and ignore the circumstances and try my best, because if you work hard on something difficult, it pays off when you don't have to do it again. It is important to fulfill these obligations to show people that you are reliable and that you can help them if they need it. My parents have helped me learn this. Their bosses give them jobs to do and they fulfill them. They have shown me what it is like to be a responsible adult. I hope to be just as good a role model as them when I'm an adult. I love that. It was so sweet, despite everything that he had been through, to be able to say just really remarkable words. But when we think about promises, actually, I think we should think much more broadly. And I think promises affect everything we do. We just don't realize it. And half of our problem during a pandemic is we are not able to fulfill our promises because things, outside circumstances, step in and prevent us from doing it. These promises are so deep within us, and we're so committed to them that it really brings us a great deal of sadness. Coming out here, for example, coming to Friday night services. If you have come on a regular basis, it's like a commitment that you've made to yourself and to your community. And when you aren't able to do that in the same way, it affects you. And that's part of the reason why you feel happy and joy when either you watch a stream or you come in person, because that means that you have done that obligation. I think about when someone's died, our obligation to our parents that we think of a lot about in Judaism, kavod av ve'im. When we honor our parents, it's the deepest obligation. We honor our parents by doing the deeds that they taught us, by continuing their works. And that's something that we do all the time. And we might not be cognizant of it at all, but it's always there. I think about from today, learning about Erwin Rosner's beautiful, beautiful life. And he was someone who understood this so fundamentally because he worked in produce and he greeted every single person every day, whether they swept the store or whether they managed the store. It really did not matter. And one of the beautiful practices that he would do is that anytime he found out anyone's birthday, long before Facebook or all these things that alert you, he would write it down in a little notebook and he would send a birthday card out to that person. Just the sweetest thing. That is deep commitment and promise that we make to the world. During this time, I think that that's really what makes us so heavy, because we have a commitment. For example, I have kids, I have a commitment to make sure that they have schooling. I don't know if they're going to have schooling this year. It might affect me very, very deeply knowing that I have this promise I've made and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fulfill it. Promises we have between our family members, between friends, and most importantly to ourselves. So I'm going to teach you the out, because they understood in the ancient world these things were very serious, so you need an out. Now you probably know a little bit of an out because when you were a kid, I guess this is probably a Christian thing because it involves crossing, right? You would say, I solemnly swear. What would you do behind your back? You would have your fingers crossed, right? I don't know where that custom came from, but it was that kind of little out that you would have as a kid. But if you notice in a lot of Jewish or Arab programming, you'll see that there is a word that's said all the time in both Jewish and Arabic that is an out. And that's Be'ezrat Hashem or Be'inshallah. These words that we say, and you'll hear it always in language, because there is always this context. If you put something out there like I'll see you tomorrow, God willing. And if you say that, you just get into the practice, then you know if you didn't do it, you tried. You hope to. There's another one that I love that you might be familiar with the language. It's the language from our text today. It's also the language of the Kol Nidre. Cantor has been preparing the Kol Nidre all the way here in July because we have to get ready so much earlier than we normally do. But the Kol Nidre, neder, is a promise. And this is the simple words. I'm going to teach you these because this is really easy. Think them in your head. Every time that you make a commitment or before you make a commitment, it could be as easy as I'm going to call you tomorrow. It doesn't have to be a complicated one. But if you say this at the end, okay? So the first word is bli neder. Bli neder, without vow, without a promise. So if you get in the practice of doing this, hopefully it releases you. Because as much as important it is to make promises, we cannot always fulfill them. And it has nothing to do with us. Just their circumstances of the world. But we shouldn't go around with this heavy weight of our shoulders, feeling we've let ourselves and others down. Because that's not fair. It's not fair to us and not fair to others. We should live joyous lives and not feel that just because life circumstances have prevented us from doing things, that we are less than as people. It's important to make to make promises, but it's also important to give ourselves a little way out from them. That's actually, by the way, what Kol Nidre is about. It's that little out that says every year we can start again. So I'm going to teach it to you one last time. Take it with you, however you want to use it. It can be inside your head. Most promises we make are inside our head. Just say it often, get in the practice of doing it, and then maybe you'll feel a little lighter, a little happier, even in this difficult time. All right, ready? Bli neder. Oh, you guys are experts. Wonderful. All right, so I have one other poem to read, a quick one. Since we're entering the book of Numbers, this is a poem. Numbers is about a lot of conflict that we have between each other. This one's called Differences. There are two types of people in the world. One who says no, and the other who refuses. Without the former, life is unbearable. Spheres converge, knuckles convalesce, projects sit in piles, on the sides of rooms. Without the other, we sit bored without distraction, each of us neatly stacked, silent to possibilities. Together, we are racked by warring factions, except for brief, beautiful moments of time when we listen just enough to one another to be truly alive. And with that in mind, I'm going to invite you to rise for the Aleinu, page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא זמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו בכל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You may be seated. We turn to the Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. We're remembering losses from this past week. Merle Dorcow, who's the mother of Jill Hamilton. Jill's also recovering from hip surgery, so we're sending lots of love her way. And Erwin Ravner, who's the father of Nancy Millman over here. We send lots of prayers her way. On our Shloshim list from this past month, we're remembering Irving Atlas, Ruth Axelrod, Bertram Breitbart, Bobby DeBruin, Ruth Elkin, Marvin Gross, Sylvia Mintz, Patricia Munter, Mildred Sachs, Stephen Scheiber, Nate Silver, Stuart Silverman, and Harold Small. On our yard site list from years past, we remember Doreen Baker, Frida Berger, Joseph Billick, Cecilia Breitbart, Arthur Burnett, J.M. Caviar, Martin Fagan, Yetta Falk, Morton Frankfurt, Helene Fudeman, Milton Gaben, Max Hellman, Janet Hohenstein, Daniel E. Kerman, Rabbi Irving Konovitz, Lillian Kushner, Geraldine Lemansky, Meyer Levy, Frida Lippa, Lilina McDonald, Jenny Mann Kulik, Harry M. Newman, Milton Newman, Susan Pizzino, Nathan Pritikin, Herman Raccoon, Ada Rosner, Sally G. Sapphire, Mary Sandell, Sydney Schiller, Henry Schreiber, Tilly Sohinki, Shifra Sweet, Matilda S. Taxon, Sarah Bunis Weiss, Abraham Winiger, and Erwin Wolf. And from last week, I neglected to mention Dr. Harold A. Korn and Irving Reiner. Our thoughts and prayers are with all those who are in mourning. I invite you, if you're here and you want to say a name, feel free to do so. Marvin Gross, thank you. We had that on our list. Oh, so sorry. Herb Sugar's cat died. Very, very sorry. Condolences about Rose.
Knew that was going to happen.
All right. Anyone? Then I invite you to rise, as is your custom. Page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yalma tivra v'yirtei v'yimru v'yimlik malkutei v'chayachon v'yamachon v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael v'galav v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah v'rach le'olam olmei olmaya Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh Yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shmei Kudusha Brichu Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata Tush b'chata v'nechamata Damiran v'yalma v'yimaru amen Yehei shlama rabba amin shemaya Chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen Oseh shalom v'yimramav Hu yaseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel v'yimaru amen. May God grant peace to all our loved ones, a blessed memory, to our world, and we say, Amen. You may be seated. I'd like to invite up Bruce Corris to give the announcements.
Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. Thank you, Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, and Mike Frank for tonight's lovely service in honor of Shabbat. It is just so nice that we are able to maintain this connection, and it's just nice to have people here and be able to take part. And obviously there are times that we really need our temple and our temple family, and it's nice that our temple family is here when you need us. I've been fired from my job as the farewell greeter for this week. Mark Nightinger and Sue Hill will be doing it this evening. We would like to thank them for doing that. Apparently people said, Bruce, we need someone else. So, and you know what? What's a Shabbat service without Mark being a greeter anyway? Marcia, you're next. This weekend we have virtual offerings, Torah study at 9 a.m., Shabbat morning service, and virtual Kiddush luncheon at 11 a.m. Both events will be available via Zoom, video conferencing. The links are on our website. Our deepest sympathy, of course, goes out to Nancy and her family on the loss of her father. I can picture him smiling tonight. I can just picture with that beautiful smile. Nancy and Mike will be, by the way, by the exit if you want to stop and say something to them on the way out. There will be 2 virtual Shivas tomorrow and Sunday at 7 o'clock p.m. via Zoom. Go to the website for the links. And again, Meditation Moment is back Sunday, 7 o'clock p.m. with Dr. Yunina Foster. Go to our website for the link to register. We want to thank everyone who supported Shabbatas, either by buying a dinner or 7 or 8 in the case of Paul, or by volunteering. Like I said, best Shabbatas ever. That just means so much to us right now. Our next one is Tuesday, July 28th. Tomorrow, we will be here in the parking lot from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. for our shredded event. So bring your shredding. Bring those papers that you've cleaned out that you want to get rid of. We will be here. Thank you to Larry Postis for coordinating the event. Our next virtual concert is tomorrow night. Sam Sugarman. That is at 7 o'clock p.m. That is on live stream via Boxcast, Facebook, and YouTube. Then a meet and greet will follow via Zoom. The links are on the website. We are going to do a drive-in movie next Saturday night, a week from tomorrow night. The movie is RV. So that should be a lot of fun, the Robin Williams movie. And, you know, if you want to come in an RV, you can certainly do that too. Arrive at 8:15 p.m., so around there to get your parking spot and snacks. The movie will begin at 9 o'clock p.m. Make sure you RSVP to Joanne. We are still collecting pictures of people to be in the sanctuary. Last Friday night, as you know, we weren't able to be outside, so we had to be in the sanctuary, and I was in there because of our annual meeting last week, and it's so nice. I'm sure that the rabbi and the cantor really enjoy seeing everyone's pictures on the chairs. So we're still collecting. So if you still want to do that, get a picture in for us, please do. Give it to Nancy in the office. Starting the first Friday in August, our service is going to be backed up to 7:30. We'll start a little bit earlier. As you know, it's going to start getting dark a little earlier. So August, the Friday night services will be at 7:30. Mark your calendars. If you need anything at all, please be sure to reach out to myself, to Joanne, the rabbi, or the cantor. We are always here for you. Thank you again for your patience and understanding as we've been dealing with all of this. And thank you for being a member of Congregation Shir Shalom and being part of our family. Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, it's Adon Olam time, page 625.
Hashem Allah, Eterem Kol Yitzir Nivra. Ve'acharei Yiglot Hakol, Levado Yimlot Nomra. Ve'hu Hayam, Ve'hu Homer, Ve'hu Yeh V'tifara. Everyone, Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, Eterem Kol Yitzir Nivra. Ve'hu Echad Ve'ein Sheni, L'echad Shelo L'chaf Bivra. Ve'li Reshit Ve'li Tachlit, Ve'lo Ha'oz Ve'ha'Mizra. Here we go. Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra. Ve'hu Eli Echai Koani, V'tzocheb li v'yetz Amra. Ve'hu Nisi Omanosli, Ve'natosi v'yom ve'ra. To the top. Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra. Yado Ahiruhi, Ve'etishan Ve'ahira. Ve'ivruhi Keviati, Adonai li Elohira. Everyone, Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra. One more time. Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra.
Beautiful. What a nice surprise.
That was from our Dylan service, and we probably would have been doing another one this summer
Yeah, I
if
saw-
we weren't on phase 4 or whatever we're in.
You should have told me. I'd have invited him.
I saw Bruce perk up right there. Just so you know, Cantor and Mike will be taking some nice needed time off next week. So next week, Dr. Yonina Foster will be with me here leading. But we wish lots of R&R for Cantor and
Thank
Mike.
you.
Certainly well deserved. So I'm going to lift up our challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Orzarua Natzadik, Priyashelem Simcha. Orzarua Natzadik, Priyashelem Simcha. Orzarua Natzadik, Priyashelem Simcha. Priyashelem Simcha. Orzarua Natzadik, Shabbat. שירו, ספרו שיר, זה פשוט למשך כל הימים. זה לא נורא אם זה לא טוב לכל האנשים. שירו, ספרו שיר, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה. Sing, sing a song, sing out loud, sing out strong. Sing of good things, not bad. Sing of happy, not sad. Sing, sing a song. Make it simple to last your whole life long. Don't worry if it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Sing, sing a song. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ah la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. שירו, ספרו שיר, עם ברוח, עם עוצמה. שיר על טוב, לא רע. שיר